So how about right now? You've all bought into this, so you know this is like the corporate meeting here, and you're all the shareholders, and you have contributed to this. So maybe you can ask me anything you want, issues-wise, but also the whole inside baseball. I mean, you know, let's talk about things that maybe aren't being talked about. You know, the dirty side of politics, if you will. What's happening? I don't know if you all saw it, but yesterday we filed suit in Pennsylvania. There was a. Do you know why? In Pennsylvania, there was a Republican operative that was a former FBI agent. Now we've known about this for months, okay? But yesterday we filed the suit. But a former FBI agent who was flashing his badge, and then with regard to at least a half a dozen signature gatherers, was offering them $2,000 each to say that they were fraudulently garnering these names. And that if they weren't going to do that, he was threatening them with arrest and conviction. And you can't make this up. I mean, you really can't. And Alicia Dern, who is, she's just fabulous. She's just fabulous. She's done all the research on this, and she filed the suit. So it's legit. I mean, it happened. Anyway, that went down yesterday. That's getting a lot of attention right now. I think it's just fascinating to me. It's just fascinating.
What was the status we reported on our LPO website about the suit against the Commission of Presidential Debates? I never heard the outcome of that, or if it's still pending.
We filed suit the Presidential Debate Commission in California, and we're filing on antitrust grounds, something that hasn't been done before. You can say that, well, that's a stretch. Well, everything's been tried in the past, so this is something new, and we think there's validity to it. Anyway, California basically ruled, and I'm not an attorney, and I'm glad for that. And that's no slight to any value-added attorneys that are sitting here, but they ruled that there wasn't an emergency nature to the suit. So it's still pending, but they're not going to issue an opinion on it because this non-emergency clause. We're filing suit in Washington, D.C. on Monday on the same grounds for the remaining two debates. You can, like I say, you can argue that, well, nothing's going to come of it. Well, nothing's certainly going to come of it if you don't try and do something about it. That's right. And we're kicking and scratching on all this stuff. And from my vantage point, and that would be like the office, Salt Lake City, faxes, phone calls, emails, requests for appearance. In just the last 6 weeks, everything's gone up well over 100% just in the last 6 weeks. So this is getting logarithmic now at this point.
And what happened with Google when they were doing the debate?
Well, so during the debate, I went on Google Plus. And so I did that live on Google Plus, and there's a limit to those on Google Plus, so you couldn't get on. There were that many that were on. There was a limit, and then we were also tweeting the debate also. Now, not anything like being on stage, and then in Denver they were waving signs, and I guess the signs were you couldn't avoid seeing everybody that was there waving signs. Presidential Debate Commission, 3 sponsors dropped their sponsorship of the Presidential Debate Commission, which is unprecedented, and it was because of my exclusion. So, wow, that's really cool.
Changing tack a little bit here, if you don't get elected, what would you consider successful in this campaign? Do you have any kind of target goals for percentage or?
No target goals, but politics is about 2 things. One is you have to have momentum, all right? And then you have to exceed expectation. If you don't get those 2 things, so I think the expectation really is not out there at all, so we're going to manage that one. And then momentum. There's an unbelievable amount of momentum. I just want to tell you, It's a huge amount of momentum. I mean, this is the fastest growing segment of American politics today, and it's because people, like, for whatever reason, are understanding that Tweedledee, Tweedledum isn't going to offer it up.
I'm drinking Miller Lite. I'm never drinking Bud Light again.
Sure, what?
I'm not drinking Bud Light until they drop their sponsorship of the debates.
I like that. And, I found it interesting. Southwest Airlines issued a statement that they were going to continue to sponsor the debates because this is about offering up the American people the choices that they need to have. And it was just, it wasn't hypocritical. It was just naive on Southwest Airlines' part. So I know that they're getting deluged. I mean, really, all the sponsors are getting deluged, and it's amazing. It's very, very positive. And I've said this to you all before, and I'll just say it again. I think that there's so much momentum here that, first of all, what do you consider success? Well, it's success right now because this is so momentous. I mean, it's just, you can see how it's growing. And I wouldn't be doing this if there wasn't the chance to win still this go-around. I mean, it's going to take some remarkable luck, and it's going to take, I can't even predict. If I were still in the debates, if somehow the court ruled and I was in the debates, I think that is an absolute way of still winning. Look, if there's anything we've learned over the last year, it's that how many Republican candidates were at the top of the heap for 17 days? 6 of them? I mean, we got Donald Trump, we had Michelle Bachmann, you know, you had Santorum, you had Gingrich, Rick Perry. Maybe there were more than 7 that were at the top for 17 days. So, you know, the wave just needs to happen here in another, I mean, still have a couple of weeks to catch the wave. You don't want to peak too early. And so looking forward to 2016, I mean, there's the very, very real possibility of winning in 2016. Because, I mean, I'm just giving this to you from my vantage point. There's just a whole lot of excitement. And I would like to be that nominee. I'm going to hang in this as long as I'm relevant in all this. And one of the successes in all of our lives, or the reason that we're successful is you got to determine what's really real. And I'd make that judgment. If I'm not relevant, I'd like to think I'm going to know it.
I thought you'd like to know that a friend of mine came to UC this afternoon. He and I went to college at UC together, actually 40 years ago. And I'm kind of coming from the Republican side, and he's coming from the Democrat side. And he told me today he's going to vote for you.
Oh, that's really
cool. He was really, your answer on the healthcare question in the question and answer session afterwards, that's what really sold me. I mean, he knew your positions, you know, and other things. He had asked me, you know, beforehand, you know, where you stood on that. I said, well, I can guarantee you it's more free market than government, but, you know, the details of it, I'm not sure. How you would explain it, I'm not sure. But your answer to that person, it wasn't him that asked the question, but your answer to the person that did ask your position, he liked it.
And I hope this goes without saying is Joe Hunter in our office. He's worked in politics for 30 years. He's putting out the daily press releases. He just does a fabulous job. Anyway, he was talking to a reporter the other day, and the reporter says, well, can we go on the record for this? And Joe laughed and he said, the best thing about doing this is that everything is on the record. There isn't anything that I say that I don't say the same thing to everybody. And when it comes to talking to people, I don't care if there are 15 reporters on right now. That's fine. You know, this is about the truth. It's great to be the truth candidate. It's great to have. that as your whole card. And I'm the first one to admit, look, somebody stands up and says, you know, you're full of crap. What you're saying, you know, you're basing this on X, Y, and Z, and it's not anything. And I'm all ears, please. If what I'm saying is wrong, if what I'm basing these decisions on is wrong, I'll be the first one to admit it. I mean, that's the process for me. Is let's start with the truth, and then how do you deal with that?
So what was your response to the healthcare question?
What is my response to the healthcare question?
To what he was talking about it, you said.
Well, that we need genuine free market approaches to healthcare. And that healthcare in this country is about as far removed from free market as it possibly could be. What about, how many kids apply to medical school? 4 times the amount that actually receive admission to medical school? The government could be engaged in doubling the number of doctors just from making slots available. I mean, putting resources into that. When the whole healthcare debate started, I had really envisioned gallbladders are us. Healthcare clinics that would specialize in gallbladder surgery at thousands of dollars as opposed to tens of thousands of dollars. But government restricts all of our choices. There are fewer and fewer choices, and it's legislated that way to make it more restrictive, so we don't have options when it comes to prescription drugs. How come we can't self-diagnose ourselves? I mean, and take responsibility for that if we so choose. It just goes on and on and on. 2 nights ago, Romney and Obama, they're having a debate over who's going to spend more money on Medicare. We have to slash Medicare spending. It's absolutely unsustainable. It's a benefit that all of us pay $30 for, and we get a $100 benefit. $30,000, $100,000 benefit. It's absolutely not sustainable. If we don't address it, we're going to find ourselves with no health care at all.
What's your stance on the school system? Because I came out of high school thinking that the New Deal was a great idea and that Obama was going to save the world. And I feel like I was lied to. I feel like I got a very biased interpretation of world views in my high school. So, what's your stance on school and solving education?
Well, as governor of New Mexico, I was more outspoken than any governor in the country regarding school choice. I really took a vocal stand. We need to bring competition to public education. In New Mexico for 6 straight years, I proposed a full-blown voucher system that I thought would have brought about that competition. I mean, the Khan Academy right now, you're all aware of the Khan Academy? You can get a kindergarten through doctoral education in any subject for free. It's free. So a lot of schools right now are experimenting with teachers in conjunction with the Khan Academy, and very effective, but at a quarter of the cost, if even that. So to see that there's not innovation out there is just crazy. So what's the best thing that the federal government could do when it comes to education? Well, I maintain abolish the Federal Department of Education, and here's why. The Federal Department of Education gives each state 11 cents out of every school dollar that every state spends. But it comes with 16 cents worth of strings attached. Federal government says, I'm going to give you 11 cents, and you have to accomplish A, B, C, and D. To accomplish A, B, C, D, it costs the state 16 cents. It's a negative to take federal money. So if you just got the federal government out of education and gave education back to the states, 50 laboratories of innovation and best practice, that's exactly what you'll have. You'll have some fabulous success that'll get emulated. You'll also have some horrible failure that will get avoided. But that's how education is going to dramatically improve. And for those states that adopt competition, for those states that bring in competition, for those states that experiment with the Khan Academy and education for free along in conjunction with the teacher, holy cow, for maybe a quarter of the cost.
With that being said, with your educational plan, many times with the school voucher program, a myriad of regulations go on. They're kind of attached to to that kind of agreement. You get school voucher money, now you have to adhere to so many regulations. Have you ever thought about a tax credit program as opposed to school vouchers to potentially move us towards more of a free market in education?
Absolutely. I mean, what you're saying, oh, okay, I'm gonna try and do my thing over in New Mexico, and you do your thing with your tax credits. And now we're back to, you know, if it's one size fits all, you know, not so much innovation. But you're right on. And the issue with school vouchers is, well, government's going to get involved. I mean, they're going to start dictating what the curriculum is because they're giving taxpayer dollar to education. I mean, getting government out of education completely. I mean, this is not so far-fetched, but that's the long-term goal. The long-term goal is that we can do a lot better for ourselves by ourselves, making these decisions by ourselves, and that's the whole libertarian perspective. For what it's worth, you know, I've been attending Republican political events now, and I'd never been involved in politics prior to running for governor of New Mexico, but I've attended a lot of Republican events where Republican candidates get up and speak. And when Republican candidates get up and speak, about half of everything they say just makes me cringe. Coming out of the closet, becoming a libertarian, I've gone to a lot of libertarian candidate meetups. Nothing any candidate says is not something that I can't be proud of. It's amazing. It's just amazing.
Thank you for being the only presidential candidate who gives a damn about civil liberties. Yeah. I think it's a crisis state for our country. I'm just curious what your perspective is then and what you would do if you got an office.
No, I absolutely see that same thing happen. I mean, elect Obama and Romney, and we're going to have a heightened police state. We're going to have a growing police state, and it should be rolled back. It shouldn't be growing. And we're going to find ourselves at we're going to continue to be in a state of military interventions. We're going to continue to be in a constant state of war with the rest of the planet. And then we're going to continue unsustainable debt and spending.
Thanks again, Governor. A lot of us are your supporters, and we try to get everything going. And it would be great if you made the debate. But if you don't, can you kind of get you guys to help you out with a cam setup? It was, we're sending you out and trying to get people to tune in. I understand you had to run to the next interview, but it seemed, not so much for us, because we believe you, we're factoring. But trying to promote you to the other side, when they tune in, a lot of people have the computer on with the TV on. Is there any way we can get the cam set up and make you more easier?
No,
I think you understand. It's a request. We're trying to promote you.
Well, I would love to be able to honor that request. I mean, it ends up to just be, you know, just bam, 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 and then you get a request from Neil Cavuto to be on national TV, and then I got to leave it 10 minutes after. Well, what's this all about? Well, again, it's always about trying to maximize the time that is available, and it ends up being a judgment call, but that's the call we end up making. And then if I'm hearing you right, the cam wasn't set up as well as it should have been. Well, we're ending up coming in from another event, and none of it is, you know, it's always trying to push the envelope and make the most out of the time that we do have, and it's just 24/7.
I understood. I'm just asking.
No,
It puts you up as a third choice if we could.
I got it. I really do.
To those that are still doubtful of, libertarian view, if you want to try to convince them that you're a good idea, do you always think it's valid to tell the whole truth as you see it, or do you ever think that you should admit anything to?
Admit anything to?
Or omit?
Omit. No, I never do. I never do. Maybe, all right, maybe I'm guilty of, no, really, maybe I'm guilty of omitting, but I never am guilty of changing the line. I'm never guilty of changing the message, ever. I mean, if I trying to think of an example of that.
Don't bring up marijuana.
No, well, everybody brings up marijuana, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. But you don't have to go to the Right to Life family convention in San Francisco and say that you're pro-choice. I think that everybody recognizes that you're pro-choice and that you support a woman's right to choose, so you don't have to put that out there. But if you're asked, you know, this is my position. I absolutely, categorically support a woman's right to choose, period. It's a difficult issue that only the woman involved should have that choice.
When you become president, do you kind of relish the fact that you'll probably be President Veto again? I mean,
yeah, and I also relish the grounding Air Force One. I relish the notion of spending less money on the office itself, that leading by example, cutting the administrative branch by 43%. I relish that. I relish.
I know you're promoting the fair tax plan. If you became president, what do you think would be the hurdles, and how long do you think it would take you to abolish the IRS?
Well, maybe none of it happens, and I base this too on my experience as governor of New Mexico, is regardless of whether or not Congress goes along with it, don't we want to elect a leader? Don't we want to elect somebody who's going to get up every single day and take these issues on, regardless of whether they happen or they'll end up happening eventually? And you have to start with the whole debate and the whole discussion, the whole raging debate and discussion that should be happening right now in this country over our foreign affairs and the fact that we continually militarily intervene and that's the reason why the world hates us, and articulate eliminating the Department of Education, articulate legalizing marijuana, that prohibition is 90% of the problem, but all of it. I was really proud as governor of New Mexico, and it was a promise that I made. I said, look, regardless of the political consequence, because I'm not a politician, I'm going to put the issues that should be on the front burner on the front burner. That's my promise. And we'll deal with the issues, the hardest political issues, because there's not going to be any politics attached to it. It's the best politics, actually. That's what I found. It's the best politics, and it's what people want. I ran 2 campaigns for governor where I did not mention my opponent in print, radio, or television. We're hungry to vote for somebody as opposed to the lesser of 2 evils. Did you see where where Obama ran 82,000 negative ads against Romney in the last month? I'm sure Romney ran 82,000 negative ads against Obama. Wow. Bush, Bush. He gets elected to office and he starts talking about Social Security and Social Security reform and privatizing Social Security. I would have thought the water would have been boiling at some point over that debate and the discussion that apparently he was going to lead in. Well, the water gets tepid and he's out. He's out. He ends it. That isn't the reason we elect a president of the United States.
I know you said that getting out of the Republican Party, you were glad you didn't have to bang your head up against the wall. But have you ever given any thought to maybe helping out the bottom ticket of Libertarian, maybe running for Congress in New Mexico or something like that?
No. The root of all evil really is, I think that today, still, Congress, and I'm talking about myself now, not for anybody else. I applaud anybody else that's running for these offices, but for me, to me, the job of being in Congress, whether it's in Congress or in the Senate, it's a job that gets judged by how much bacon you bring home. And it's about how much bacon you're going to promise to get elected, and I just can't do it. I can't buy into it at all, and I still think at the end of the day, that is Congress in a nutshell. How much bacon did you bring home, and how much bacon are you pledging to bring home? So, Yeah, so maybe just a couple more, and I'm going to hang on. I have a 9 o'clock conference call with national Republican, Libertarian candidates, and so I'm going to leave at 8:30 to do that. And I can't thank all of you enough. I cannot thank all of you enough. And for the candidates that are here that are running, look, we're on each other's coattails. You guys do well, I do well, vice versa. And I'm proud to be with every single one of you. And I could never say that I couldn't say that as a Republican. I was in Florida early on, and I manned the Libertarian booth at the state fair, and I bought a t-shirt that said Libertarian. At that time, I recognized that I have never worn a Republican t-shirt in my life, ever. Because there are parts of being a Republican that people associate with being a Republican that I can't defend, and I have never defended, and I am embarrassed by it. I am. There's nothing about being a libertarian that I am embarrassed by. There's nothing that any libertarian says that embarrasses me. And I would like all of you to know, too, that I really have my eye on the end goal. If the goal is Z, keep your eye on the goal and how do you get to Z, but it's okay to go from A to G. That's an okay phenomenon. And I'm there, too. I'm pragmatic. I am. So, anyway, thank you all. And I recognize that each and every one of you, if given the opportunity that I've got right here, you would be doing the same thing. And so I recognize that. I recognize that it's we here. It's my mouth, but it is we, and I'm trying to do the best that I can. So thank you all very much.